Okay, let's dive right in. If you're someone living with chronic pelvic pain, maybe from endometriosis or adenomyosis, the whole idea of movement can be, well, really complicated. So today, we're going to explore a completely different approach, one that reframes movement not as something to fear, but as a form of medicine. So let's start with a question that I think gets right to the heart of it. Does the very idea of exercise, or even just simple movement, sometimes feel more like a threat than a friend? If you've ever braced yourself for a flare-up after just a short walk, or felt like physical activity was something to be avoided at all costs, you are so not alone in that feeling. And you know what? It makes perfect sense. That fear is so real and so valid. When you've lived with pain for a long time, your body naturally goes into protection mode. You might feel constantly stiff or find yourself clenching without even realizing it. It's easy to start feeling totally disconnected from your own body when it feels like it's always in a state of alarm. Okay, but what if we just flipped the script on this entirely? What if we threw out the whole idea of no pain, no gain, or pushing harder? Let's talk about a new goal, one where movement is all about finding what feels safe, what feels gentle, and what feels genuinely supportive for a body that's already dealing with a lot. And that brings us to this core concept, movement as signaling safe. I really want you to focus on this because it's a huge shift. The point here isn't to build muscle or hit some cardio goal in the way we usually think about it. Nope, the whole goal is to send a clear message of safety to your nervous system. It's about helping those chronically tense pelvic muscles to finally soften and dialing down that constant blaring alarm that pain creates in the body. And believe me, the benefits here go way beyond just the physical stuff. When you signal safe to your body, it helps support your mood and emotional regulation. It can help you sleep better, and we all know how crucial that is for managing pain. It helps regulate your stress response, and here's the kicker. Over time, it can actually make the whole pain system feel less amplified, less loud. We're talking about recalibrating your nervous system, not just stretching a muscle. Okay, so that's the why. But what about the how? How do we actually do this? Well, we're going to dive into a super gentle toolkit, and the absolute foundation, the starting point for all of this, is pelvic floor rehab. This is where we begin to retrain the body from the ground up, but the focus is on downtraining and releasing, not strengthening. All right, so two of the most powerful tools in this whole kit are diaphragmatic breathing and what's called the pelvic floor drop. Think of breathing as your direct line to your nervous system. It's the fastest way to signal safe and tell those guarded pelvic muscles it's okay to soften. The drop, then, is all about actively retraining the pelvic floor to let go, which is so important for fighting those unconscious clenching habits that become second nature with pelvic pain. Let's actually break down the breathing, because honestly, it's everything. It's so simple, but so powerful. As you inhale, you're not trying to puff up your chest. Nope. Just let your belly gently rise and expand, like a balloon. Then, as you exhale, breathe out slowly and completely. The magic really happens on the exhale. Try to make it just a little bit longer than your inhale. And all the while, just check in with your shoulders and make sure they're down and relaxed, not creeping up towards your ears. Okay, so once you've got the hang of that breathing, we can start to add a little bit of gentle movement. Cat-cow is just fantastic for that stuck feeling you can get in your spine and pelvis. When you link the movement to your breath, it's incredibly calming for the nervous system. And a gentle supine twist? Oh, it can do wonders for releasing a tight low back and unwinding all that protective tension that builds up around your core. Now, what about those really tough days? You know, when you're in a flare or you just feel totally wiped out. Restorative poses are going to be your absolute best friend. The key word here is support. A supported child's pose with a bunch of pillows under your chest and belly lets you release your back and pelvis without any strain at all. And legs up the wall is, hands down, one of the best ways to downshift your nervous system and help with that heavy, congested feeling in the pelvis. And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. This is about practice, not performance. It's about becoming a detective of your own body and learning to listen to its signals. A perfect example of this is deep, prolonged hip openers. They might be amazing for some people, but for many with pelvic pain, they can be a major flare trigger. Pacing is everything. It's about learning what feels supportive for your body on any given day and letting that be enough. Which really brings us full circle back to this core idea. The goal is to find forms of movement that feel safe, sustainable, and supportive, especially when the body has been living with pain, fatigue, or guarding for a long, long time. It's about finding kindness in movement again.
So I'm going to leave you with a question to chew on. Looking at everything we just talked about, what is just one small, gentle thing you could try this week to start signaling safe to your body? Maybe it's not even a full movement. Maybe it's just 5 deep diaphragmatic breaths before you get out of bed. What's one small step you can take?